Why earning more doesn't mean keeping more. There's an attorney in Houston billing $450 an hour. He drives a leased Range Rover. His kids are in private school. His family takes 2 international vacations a year. His home has a wine cellar nobody uses. On paper, he's the definition of success. In reality, he cannot come up with $8,000 without selling something or calling his bank. This isn't a sob story. This is a pattern. And it's more common than you think. According to a 2025 Goldman Sachs report, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. 40% of those earning over $500, 0 report the same. 4 out of 10 people making $500,000 a year feel they have no financial cushion. They earn more in a month than most Americans earn in a year, and they're just as financially anxious. This video is going to show you exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to know if it's already happening to you. Number 1, the myth of the income threshold. Most of us grow up believing income is the solution. Hit 6 figures and the stress disappears. Reach $200,000 and you're set. Cross $500,000 and money stops being a problem. The data completely dismantles that idea. Americans earning $100,000 annually are more likely to report living paycheck to paycheck than those earning $50,000. Cosick Research 2025. 48% of those earning $100,000 or more say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Even among households earning over $150,000, roughly 20% spend more than 95% of income on necessities. Bank of America, 2025. These aren't people who can't do math. These are doctors, engineers, executives, and lawyers. They know about compound interest. They understand retirement projections. They've read the articles. The trap isn't arithmetic. It's psychology. When income rises, spending rises in almost perfect lockstep. Researchers call it lifestyle inflation, and it's almost invisible while it's happening. The $12 lunch becomes a $30 lunch. The Camry becomes an Audi. The 2-bedroom apartment becomes a house with a guest room nobody sleeps in. A gym membership becomes a country club. A road trip becomes a business class flight. Every single upgrade feels earned, because technically you can afford it. The math works just barely. But the upgrades compound, while the savings stay flat. And here's the dangerous part. Once a luxury becomes routine, reversing it doesn't feel like returning to normal. It feels like failure. Number 2. What actual millionaires look like. Now let's contrast this with people who actually build wealth. Because the gap between looking wealthy and being wealthy is enormous, the landmark study, The Millionaire Next Door, found that most millionaires are almost invisible. They live in ordinary neighborhoods. They drive older cars. They clip coupons. They do not look like the people on Instagram. 94% of millionaires live in middle-class or modest neighborhoods. Ramsey Solutions, 62% of millionaires still budget, seek deals, and avoid extravagant lifestyles even after crossing $1 million. Empower 2025. The typical millionaire has never spent more than $400 on a single article of clothing. 60% of millionaires live in homes worth less than $500,000. Warren Buffett, the 4th richest person in modern history, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He's made that choice every single year since. The people who appear wealthy and the people who are wealthy are often completely different people. The researchers created 2 categories: PAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth, and UAWs, under-accumulators of wealth. A 40-year-old school teacher earning $55,000 who saves and invests consistently can be more of a Paul than a surgeon earning $700,000 with a leased luxury car and a vacation house draining cash every month. Your spending habits determine the category, not your income. Here's the formula they developed. Multiply your age by your annual pre-tax income, then divide by 10. That number is what your net worth should be. A 45-year-old earning $200,000 should have approximately $900,000 in net worth. If they have $250,000, they're an underaccumulator, living well on paper, building nothing in reality. Run that number for yourself. Most high earners fail it badly. Number 3, the psychology of never enough. Here's where it gets even more interesting and, honestly, more uncomfortable. The Charles Schwab 2025 Modern Wealth Survey asked Americans what it takes to feel wealthy. The answers: You need $2.3 million to be considered wealthy. You need $839,000 just to feel financially comfortable. The median net worth of an American household is roughly $193,000. So most people are operating with a fraction of what they believe they need to feel okay. And the goalposts keep moving. You hit $500,000 in net worth and discover that comfortable now requires $839,000. You reach $1 million and find out that wealthy means $2.3 million. You hit $2.3 million and the bar has moved again. 63% of people say it takes more money to feel wealthy today than it did last year. The finish line is a mirage. Researchers call this the hedonic treadmill. You adapt to every new normal almost instantly. The raise feels extraordinary for about a month. Then it becomes the baseline, and you need more to feel the same way again. This is compounded by what we can see now. 20 years ago, you compared yourself to your neighbors. Today, you compare yourself to everyone with a phone and a highlight reel. Someone earning a top 5% income still feels behind because their social feed is filled with people who look like they're living at the top 1%. Some of those people are actually wealthy. Most of them are more leveraged than you are. Number 4, the fixed cost trap. Let's talk about the mechanical side of how the trap works because the math is actually simple once you see it. When you earn $60,000, your housing costs are constrained by what lenders will approve. When you earn $350,000, you qualify for mortgages that stretch your budget just as thin, just with bigger numbers. A family earning $80,000 might spend $2,000 monthly on housing. A family earning $300,000 might spend $7,500. Both families have roughly the same percentage of income going to shelter. Both feel equally squeezed. Higher income doesn't buy more financial breathing room, it buys more expensive problems. High-income households over $100,000 carried an average credit card balance of $12,760 in 2025. The top 20% of earners hold 35% of total U.S. credit card debt. Total U.S. credit card debt hit $1.277 trillion in Q4 2025, the highest since tracking began in 1999, up 66% since 2021. Lower income households use credit to survive. Higher income households use credit to maintain. Both end up in the same place, owing money with interest growing. The insidious part is what happens when those fixed costs get locked in. Pulling your child out of private school feels impossible. Selling the vacation house feels like admitting defeat. Downgrading the car feels like a public announcement that things aren't going well. The lifestyle becomes irreversible, not because it legally has to be, but because the psychological cost of reversing it feels unbearable. Number 5. The savings rate is the only number that matters. The U.S. personal savings rate in December 2025 was 3.6%. That means Americans are saving about $3.60 of every $100 in disposable income. During the pandemic in April 2020, that rate briefly hit 33%. Spending disappeared overnight, and Americans accidentally experienced what aggressive saving felt like. That money is long gone. Here's what the actual wealth builders do differently. Millionaires typically invest a minimum of 15% of income before paying for anything else. The millionaire next door, 73% of millionaires have never carried a credit card balance. The average millionaire worked, saved, and invested for 28 years before crossing the $1 million mark, usually around age 49. The path was gradual and boring. Not dramatic, not lucky, consistent. Here's the math that should bother you. Someone earning $300,000 who saves 30% puts away $90,000 annually. At 7% average returns over 20 years, that grows to roughly $4 million. Someone earning $300,000 who saves 5% puts away $15,000 annually. Same timeline, same returns. Approximately $650,000, same income, same returns. The difference is $3.35 million. That is the cost of the high-income poverty trap over 2 decades. Number 6. The exit breaking out of this trap starts with one uncomfortable question. What is all this spending actually for? The attorney in Houston making $450 an hour could save $150,000 a year. The income is there. He just spends enough to make it disappear. Changing that means being willing to ask, does this expense serve me, or am I serving it? Is the lease on that car creating joy or creating an identity you feel trapped by? Is the house with the extra rooms improving your life, or impressing people who don't spend much time thinking about you? None of this is about deprivation. It's about intention. Most people in the trap never consciously chose their lifestyle. They accumulated it, one reasonable seeming decision at a time, until the whole income was committed. The practical escape route is simple, even if it's not easy. Automate savings first. Not what's left after spending. Savings first, then live on the rest. Someone earning $400,000 who routes $120,000 automatically to investments will build generational wealth, even if they spend the remaining $280,000 freely. The math does the work. Audit every recurring cost once a year. Not to feel bad about them, but to ask honestly which ones still earn their place. Track net worth, not income. Net worth is your actual score. Income is just the input. You can have a high input and a terrible score for decades without noticing until you're 55 and wondering where it went. Finally, 77% of Americans don't feel financially comfortable, regardless of what they earn. 40% of people making $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Credit card debt just hit an all-time record, while incomes sit near all-time highs. The evidence is overwhelming. Income alone does not solve this. What you earn determines your ceiling. What you keep determines your floor. The trap is real, but it's not permanent if you see it for what it is. There is always a way to break the chain. Always be strong. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear what you thought about this video, so definitely drop a comment below. I try to read as many as I can. If you enjoyed your time here, hit that subscribe button and join the community. I'll see you in the next one.